YouTube, what's going on? One Piece chapter 1136 just dropped, and it's a banger. We got to talk about it. There's so much lore that just dropped. So many more theories now to come out. And there's one thing in particular that's on everybody's minds, and everyone's talking about it. So, naturally, I got to talk about it. Because my thoughts are a little bit different than what is on everyone else's mind. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to skip the cover story. I don't really care about talking about the cover story. So we get back into the party, right? Now everyone's partying, everyone's eating. Luffy's eating on a plate that Jaro's holding. Everyone's dancing. We got Colin in the background kind of doing the Nika pose as he's running along, the outskirts of everybody. And shows all the giants partying, having fun, yada yada. Everyone's pretty much introducing themselves. Usopp's talking to, I don't know if he's talking to kids or the giants. I think he's talking to other giants that, there isn't any kids here, but he's talking to other giants about, Ors and how he defeated Ors, air quotes. Usopp doing Usopp things, lying and stuff, and then some of the giants are asking Jinbei about his skin color, why it's blue, and, where he's from. He pretty much breaks it down. He's like, yeah, I'm from Fishman Island. If you guys go there, you're going to see a lot of different fish and a lot of different skin colors, so you guys might want to check it out. One of them's like, dude, I really want to see a mermaid, and this is where Sanji, goes off on his little tangent of, oh, man, I love mermaids, I love women, the mermaids there are beautiful, it's like I'm in heaven, but also, don't worry, giant ladies, it makes me feel like I'm in heaven being around all of you guys. So Sanji being typical Sanji, we got Usopp being typical Usopp, and now, they're asking Brooks what he is, because they've never met, a skeleton, which I don't really blame them for that. No one's ever really met a skeleton in real life, so Brooks pretty much goes, yeah, I can answer that with my own story, and he pretty much sings them a song. We don't really get to hear any of the song at all, but he kind of starts a song, and then it shoots over to Road. Now, Road is actually finally untied, ungagged, whatever he was, being pretty much tortured by his teammates, his crewmates, the other giants, for what he did to the Straw Hats. He's crying, and he's talking to Luffy and Nami and Zoro, and he's pretty much apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm just, a really big fan, I didn't mean to do this to the Straw Hat crew. He's pretty much saying, accept my apology, right? And Zoro's like, hey, dude, don't even worry about it, bro. Nobody died, right? You're good, because I was going to kill you. So you're good. Like, nothing would have happened. No one died, and if someone were to have died, it would have been you, because I would have cut your head off. But Usopp was like, hey, bro, we don't know the giants. We don't want to start no crazy shit. Let's not, okay? So after hearing that, he pretty much gets spooked. He falls back. He's like, oh, my God, I can't mess with Zoro, right? Which is obvious. You don't mess with Zoro, right? But he also says, you can't blame me. Everybody here is born with the same dream, and that's to become the next sun god and rule the world, right? And so Zoro's like, sun god? What the hell is that? I keep hearing this. And so they're like, are you kidding me? The sun god isn't a ruler. He's the god of liberation. And then someone else is like, more like the god of destruction. And then another person's like, you're all wrong. Everyone knows he's the god of laughter. And so this is what is on everybody's minds right now, okay? This is what got everybody in a loop, because everyone's like, wait, is there different sun gods? There's a sun god of destruction, a sun god of liberation, and a sun god of laughter? Now, in my opinion, if you look at those three, I believe that those are all three depictions of Luffy, right? Luffy can be, very destructive. He liberates everything. Everywhere he goes, every island he goes to, he's liberating somebody, and he's always laughing and or making other people laugh, right? So, in my opinion, these are perspectives throughout history that got passed down, different perspectives of where you were standing on the island. If you were the slaves and you were, in a world of turmoil, and you see this god-like being come out and destroy, the guy who was holding you captive, and he destroys pretty much the city he built and stuff like that, you're going to be like, oh my God, that's the god of liberation. And then you see him laughing, and you go, that must be the god of laughter as well, And then when you're on the other side, when you're just a civilian of the person who was ruling that land, and you have nothing to do with, either owning slaves or owning anyone, and you have nothing to do with being a tyrant, right? You just live there. You're seeing the whole world get destroyed in front of you. Your house gets destroyed. Your neighbor's house gets destroyed. You're like, dude, who the hell is this god of destruction? who the hell is this guy destroying the land like he owes us something? Like, what is he doing? He's actually making my life a lot worse, right? So I think that's just different perspectives of the same entity, right? Because if you think about it, like, this is why Luffy's gonna destroy Fishman Island, right? Like, that's just, it's said that Luffy is gonna destroy Fishman Island. How is he gonna do that if he's also liberating? So he's a liberator and a destroyer, because destruction comes with liberation, right? I think that's just different perspectives of the same person. I don't think there's a separate sun god Nika. I don't think there's a different sun god destroyer. But to argue this, I do think Loki does have a fruit that might resemble the sun god, and he's going to use it to destroy things. So I do think that there is a separate entity that is a destruction god that does call himself the sun god, and he destroys things, right? But I also do believe that they're just perspectives of the same person, right? Because you could get a liberator, destruction, and laughter all in one person, which I do think is the sun god, Nika, or aka Joy Boy, right? I do think it's that, like Joy Boy, laughter. But we also know that the world was destroyed, and it was also brought up that the world has been destroyed twice. And after each destruction of the world, Nika was involved, right? But I think he was involved in a sense of like he was either trying to stop the world, or what he did kind of involved and helped out like some of the destruction, but at the same time he was trying to do it for the greater good, right? So the most interesting thing about that to me is Manu Ohara, the library of Ohara. He translated Bink's sake from Japanese to English, right? And instead of like just looking at the English translation, he took the Japanese translation and annotated that. So that in the Bink sake in the Japanese form, it talks about how the world was destroyed twice. So I think Manu is definitely up to something. He's got his hands on something very important there. And also I think this is just, I think pretty much general knowledge in Bink sake that, talks about the destruction of the world twice. So I'm not super surprised about this because I watched Manu's video. I'll link that down in the description if you guys want to check that out. But so in my opinion about the whole multiple Nika things, I think that's just a perspective thing of the one guy. It just depends on where you stood on the island. Were you the slave that was being liberated? Were you the guy that just lived there and watched his whole planet or his whole land get destroyed because of some sun god and your king and the slaves that he owns? Right? Or were you on, the outskirts and you're like, man, this dude just laughs a lot. He must be the god of laughter. I don't even know what else he does, but he just laughs. Right? So I think it's more of that perspective thing. And then for the two world-ending, things that had happened, I do think that it was, possibly Emu destroying the world using one of the ancient weapons, Joy Boy accidentally using one of the ancient weapons, right? Something along those lines. And along with that, they talk about how we don't know if Nika is the world's savior. We don't know if he is the great destroyer who brought it crashing down. All we know is that he heralds great change. And that's why the rulers of the day always tend to fear Nika's return. Because when he comes, everything is about to be flipped upside down. You're not going to be ruling over nothing. You ain't going to be no king of no land. You ain't going to have no slaves, no nothing, right? You're not going to be owning anything. This is Nika's world. He's here. It's time to party, right? I think that's what it is. I think it's just one person because we keep getting the same depiction of the dude, in the typical Nika pose, but this time we get a really cool depiction of Nika in like this kind of like he's got his ribbons, he's got his white hair flowing, but he's got like pants that are like flowing kind of like old school, and this time he's got like a dagger sword kind of thing and a shield, right? We usually only see him with a spear and a sword or something like that, but this time he's got like the sword, but he also has a shield, so that's also new. So this is probably throwing a lot of people for a loop, like, oh my god, that's got to be a different one because he's actually using a shield this time. And like I said, it could get convoluted in a sense of like Loki's devil fruit being the imposter sun god fruit, and people having different depictions of the same god. But I think, like I said, I think it's just different perspectives of the same person. And it's funny because when it gets brought up to Luffy, he's just like, oh yeah, people keep telling me I look like that guy, but I don't really think he has anything to do with me. But then all the other giants are like, bro, you don't understand. You didn't grow up here, so you don't know the lore of this guy, but you look exactly like him, and you're probably him, so we love you. And yeah, that's pretty much, how all the giants feel towards Luffy right now. Like, everyone looks at him like a hero. Everyone loves the Straw Hats right now, which you got to keep in mind. Luffy he's probably going to free Loki, so that might change, right? I hope it doesn't, because everyone loves the Straw Hats right now. We don't want no enemies with the giants, but who knows how they're going to react once Loki is freed. Speaking of Loki, he gets brought up being the cursed, child of Elbaf, and so Luffy brings him up and he goes, wait, so this Loki guy, he's a good guy, right? Because we know what Luffy wants, right? He wants to free Loki. And they go, oh, hell no, dude. And like, the moment he was born, all this bad stuff started happening. And they start listing things that literally had nothing to do with Loki. Like, they're like, he was born, and then his mom died. And then after 5 years later, his mom died. Zoro gets beat by a little girl, and she dies. And then after she dies, a bunch of other, like, these have nothing to do with Loki, right? Like, they literally have not, like, his mom died after he was born. Cool. What's that got to do with Loki? Yorl dies to Lin. What does that have to do with Loki, right? I guess the only thing that he really did, I would say, is that he, got some of those beasts from the underworld and brought them to, like, the villages and, like, let them run around and, like, pillage some things and destroy some things. I don't think that was the biggest thing ever, right? But like, it is, bad. And then his dad ended up dying. But it's like, we all think and we all know that he probably didn't kill his dad. He was probably set up, right? And we also learned that Jarl was actually stabbed trying to stop Loki. So maybe Loki, does have violent tendencies. Who knows? It doesn't say Loki stabbed him, right? It doesn't say that. It just says he was stabbed trying to stop Loki. So maybe Loki is the one who did it. Maybe he did kill his dad. I don't believe he did. But they also talk about how his reign came to an end when Shanks came and took him down, right? Now, Shanks, that was 6 years ago. So that was when Shanks became an emperor. Maybe there was an empty spot and Loki was going to take it. That's why he has a special bounty. But then Shanks tied him up. Maybe Shanks didn't want to turn him into the government, because Shanks, he's never turned anyone into the government, like, ever. And I don't think we've ever seen, like, any other pirate turn another pirate or any other person with a bounty into the government. He just defeats him, ties him up on Elbaf. I think Shanks is probably, like, the same as Luffy, where he's like, he's probably a good guy, but Shanks is going to be more reserved and be like, nah, I'm not gonna risk it. There was a whole lot of drama. I'm here for a reason, right? I got to stop him for a reason. I'm gonna lock him up, and I'm gonna let Elbaf decide what they want to do with him, because I don't know the full story. But this dude was on a tear when I got here. I handled it. I'm out, right? So that's probably why Loki thinks he's a coward, because he's like, you don't even know what the fuck was going on. You tied me up and then you bounced. You're a coward, right? So that kind of explains that for me. And then later on, now, we get a moment of Luffy, Zoro, and Nami talking kind of like outside of the party. Like, they kind of like move, to the village outskirts of Western Village. And Luffy's talking to Zoro, and Zoro's like, hey, man, like, just consider that Loki might be lying to you. And Luffy's like, hey, man, don't ever say that. He knows where Shanks is. Like, don't say Loki's a liar. Don't take this from me. I need to know. And Zoro's like, bro, hey, you already know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just saying, just be a little careful. He might be lying to you, right? His reputation doesn't say he's the best guy on earth. So just make sure you're a little careful about doing what you're about to do, right? And then Nami overhears it, and she's like, I think you guys are about to do something suspicious in the underworld. You're not going without me. You two, Luffy and Zoro, are not the navigators, and y'all will get lost. So I'm going to go with y'all just to make sure y'all don't get lost. And, to my surprise, also Road is with them. So Road jumps in. He's got to, row the boat. They're in a big old boat with the clouds on the end of the paddles, right? So he's pretty much rowing the boat. He's trying to make small talk with Nami. Nami's like, don't even try. Don't even try to talk to me. I don't care if you're a navigator. Don't even try. And then he's like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm Nami's slave. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Listen, I don't really like Road. I don't care for Road. I wish he wasn't there. I guess he's like a good, security blanket, I guess. He's like, I guess one giant is better than no giants, right? In terms of like help. But they're on their way to the castle. I think they're going to get to the castle, see that the front door might be open, see that, there's a big old hole in the wall, and be like, what the fuck's going on? They might find some giants on the floor that got attacked by Bandage Lady, a.k.a. Gunko, which we now know. So, Nami wants to take all the treasure, which isn't, a surprise to me, but Zoro, Nami, Luffy, and Road, they're on their way to the castle, right? They're probably going to look for the key. They're probably going to discover some things. They're like, yo, let's go check out Loki. That like some shit doesn't seem right. So now jumping over to Loki, we see Loki's pretty much laughing, and he's like, I'm sure it's an honor to be invited to join your noble knights, but that would make you a celestial dragon, right? And I don't really think that I'm up to be that much of a scumbag to be a celestial dragon, right? I don't think anybody in the right mind would be. Now, you could tell he's been locked up for a long time, because there's obviously people that want to be celestial dragons, right? Shanks' brother, he asks Gunko, he's like, so do we have any intel? All the informants we sent to Elbaf reported a giant heading for him and then just lost communication. So the same thing that was happening on Egghead Island is happening on Elbaf. There's probably Cypher Pole agents that were coming over, and we learned that Rhodes, Crow, Mugen was the one taking them out. Swooping down, taking their ships, taking them back to Rhodes. So, obviously the people that were in Rhodes, fake Elbaf, those were obviously Cypher Pole agents and government agents. Probably most of them, probably all of them, right? Because I don't know where else he would be getting humans from. But that, that pretty much explains who those people are, where they came from, right? And so Loki, he doesn't want to become, a celestial dragon or a god's knight. So Gunko, she goes, and Gunko's the bandage lady. We get her name. We get a cool, depiction of her. She has 2 different colored eyes. She's not wearing any pants. She's straight up literally in panties and her gown, I guess, in the freezing like snow. But we all know hoes don't get cold, okay? So she is a certified hoe. So Gunk Ho, she is pretty much like, you know what, I'm done standing by and listening to this. This is, the definition of impertinence, and I'm going to do something now. And then Shanks' brother, which is funny because they depicted his left side, but it's blocked out by a talking bubble. He goes, don't be so hasty, Gunko, like, just chill out. And she's like, nah, I'm about to do what I'm about to do. And you see part of her bandage come off of her clothes. So she might be able to just use her clothes and like manipulate them into the bandages. Like, it's not like she has bandages wrapped up around her and she manipulates the bandages wrapped up on her. It's literally her clothes coming off, like my shirt here, coming off and warping into a bandage, right? So Loki's big wolf comes out of the forest and he's like, yo, eat him up, let's do it, eat him. And then Gunko's like, that dog better back up if he wants to stay alive. And then she's like, you know what, fuck it. And then throws her bandage, and like the tip of her bandage has an arrow on it, kind of like Emu's abilities, right? Wraps up the dog right around its neck, starts yanking and choking on it, and pretty much just like hangs him up. And she has like total control, like wherever her finger points and wherever that arrow's pointing, that's where the bandage is going. So she's pointing up, the arrow's pointing up, so that bandage is going straight up, just pretty much noosing the wolf, right? Pretty much just hanging him. And so Loki's like, yo, what the hell, not my wolf? And then Shanks' brother and the lady, they're like, if we were to spare him, would you change your mind? And this is where Loki is a complete badass. And he's like, you know what? This is how you guys operate? All right, y'all must not know I'm a warrior. I am a warrior, okay? I'm going to accept my friend's fate. I'm not going to throw a fit over y'all killing my friend. You know why? Because the feeling I get when you guys kill one of my buddies, and that rage that flows through my veins when I get locked out, I'm going to use that to destroy the entire world. So, when you guys want to face death, just know that's what will happen when you kill my dog. And so, that's how it ends. He ends literally with like I'll swallow all my fury and use it to fuel me when I reduce the world to rubble. Son, Loki is fucking... I love Loki. He's so badass. He's got the best one-liners. Like, he carried the ending of this chapter. I really do believe he carried. We got so much lore, right? We got so many things to talk about. How many Nikas there are. Whole lot of things, right? You know, what are the origins? Who's this other Nika? What does Loki's devil fruit do? Like, I need to know. It has to resemble the sun god in some way, some form, right? He's always sticking his tongue out, so it makes me feel like he's gonna be like stretchy. I don't know why, but yeah, that's the chapter. It was an awesome chapter. It was a banger. Make sure you guys watch it, and yeah, I'm gonna be dropping another One Piece video later this week talking about if I think Shanks is even gonna return to Elbaf. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna save that for the video, but yeah. Hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out the new chapter if you haven't already. If you haven't and you made it all the way through the video, I guess cool for you. I just spoiled everything. But yeah, peace out, everybody. Hope you guys have a good one. I will see you on the next one.